A very good evening to our viewers. Welcome to ELITETV. You're watching Open Debate in English. I'm your host, Chongtham Amrita, bringing you this topic, Time to Prepare for Peace Dialogue. We have now crossed 1 year of this Meitei-Kuki conflict. The state and the country have both witnessed 1 year of mayhem, 1 year of carnage with no end in sight. Is peace impossible in Manipur? That's the question that we are asking. Union Minister of Home Affairs, Shri Amrita Chongtham, visited Manipur on the 29th of May 2023 last year. He stayed here for 3 days and he advised the governor of Manipur to form a peace committee during that time in order to find out a roadmap to bring about peace in Manipur. Soon after, a 51-member peace committee was formed under the chairmanship of the Honorable Governor. But the very next day, this peace committee broke up. It was dissolved almost. What could be the reason? Does it mean that the parties on both sides were not ready for peace, or is it that both parties wanted to fight out until a certain point? The Kuki leaders in the committee objected to the presence of Chief Minister Biren Singh in the committee. And the Meitei leaders also opted out, stating one reason or the other. The real reason, however, is that at that time the situation was very volatile. Tempers were very high and people were out to get blood. It's been 1 year now since then, and is it the right time to start a peace dialogue now? To discuss and debate on this matter, our panelists are joined here today in the ELITETV studio, so let's take a chance to welcome our panelists right now. Our first panelist for tonight is Dr. Deben Bachaspatimayum, Consultant Peace Building Program, and also who has been a former lecturer at the NEISSR MSW College Nagaland for Peace and Conflict Transformation Studies. Welcome to Open Debate, Oja.
Thank you.
Our second panelist for tonight is Oja Satyajeet, Bureau Chief, United News of India, Manipur. Welcome to Open Debate. And our third panelist for tonight is Colonel Haurungbam Sharat, retired Colonel 3x5 Gurkha Rifles, and also MP candidate for the 18th Lok Sabha. Oja, welcome to Open Debate. I'll first start with Oja Deben for this topic. During last year when Amit Shah advised the governor to form this peace committee, it was the very next day it was dissolved after it was formed. Do you think this is a failure of the peace committee by reflecting some deeper divisive reflections of the Manipur society, or do you think it was poorly planned and also with inadequate leadership? And do you think at such a juncture, after 1 year from the conflict, 1 year from since then, do you think that another peace committee could be instituted at this point? Oja Deben, please give your thoughts.
Thank you for starting with that question. That's very important to review what happened over this last 1 year. What are some of the milestones and landmarks that we have passed through to make a sense of what's going on now, right, and what do we expect to see in future, and what would people like to see? In fact, that's more important. But the very fact that a peace committee came up more or less a month later, the problem is that it came as a surprise to the people. Many people whose name was on the list, especially civil society, immediately on the second day told the media that we were not informed about it. Our consent was not taken.
You're right.
So the very manner it was constituted had a problem. So now that raises the question of what was the intention of the government to form the committee at all? Secondly, should a committee be formed in that manner, or is there a better alternative? Two questions that we need to ask so that we're able to get a clearer idea as to the next committee that people might like to, because the voice of the people has been very clear. The voice of the people from different corners is that what is the government, what has been the government doing, why the government has been silent all this while, and why it is failing to stop. Some people have gone to the extent that it is a situation of total absence of the state.
Right.
Right. So that's how I look at it to begin with. Yes, definitely the next committee certainly needed, not as a desired or something like that, but it's needed. It's needed over time because at the end of the year, people have suffered enough. So therefore, this time, I think the peace committee should be coming from the people itself, not from the government.
Okay.
And of course, this requires a little bit of coordination and, yeah, definitely coordination with the existing government, the people's representative. They must also influence the central leadership that this is what people are looking for and this is how the peace committee should be constituted. And in this regard, we had, all this while we had been making a lot of efforts, especially with the governor, with copy to CM. We have also sent our representations to the Prime Minister, the President, and the Home Minister, saying that given the kind of situations that is so intense that you need a third-party, neutral, and professional dialogue facilitator to be constituted at the national level, which should be acceptable to both parties equally. Then only such a committee can function in a much professional manner. But that's why I asked the question, what was the intention of the central government to come up with this committee is a big question for me. So there I will leave it for the first round. Thank you.
Thank you for such a good point, Oja Deben. You mentioned if there is a third alternative. So I'd like to take that up and I would like to put on to Oja Satyajeet that is there a third alternative, and also if so, can there be a peace building committee or even a peace talks initiated without a third party, or do we need an external hand, maybe from a neighboring state or maybe from a third party that does not belong to either the Meiteis or the Kukis? So do you think that such a process could be the way for this second peace committee, if constituted, then that will be the way to go forward? What do you think?
Thank you, Amrita, for having me in this very fruitful discourse. We have two illustrious panelists here. Both of them are very senior, though they are, I will not say very senior, but they are very young at heart. And we have been following them, and we pray to God that they live long and continue to serve the state and the nation. Coming to your issue, I would say that what exactly is peace? What people of, I would first emphasize on what exactly people of Manipur want. Okay. People of Manipur want peace. They want, we can say we have peace when we can drink the water which comes to Singha peacefully, when we can climb to Lord Kobru's abode, when we climb to Tangjing Hills, when we reach Mao through the highways, we can go to More for shopping. That is called peace. And the other aspect which the other community is looking is when they can come to the Regional Institute of Medical Sciences for treatment, when they can come to the airport to go to other states or to other foreign countries, since it has become an international airport. That is exactly what is peace. When, prior to 2023 May, the situation in which we are living, that is what we are aspiring for. I think what we are lacking is the willpower to resolve the crisis, in this entire crisis. Since Tamo Deben has explained that the Union Home Minister was kind enough to visit Manipur for about 3 days, but unfortunately what we can say is there was no follow-up action. What we want is a follow-up action, because for about 1 year we have seen that there is an onslaught of attacks on the civil population, on farmers, on even two very young, a young boy and a young girl who had who were just driving on the road. They were kidnapped, and we have not found their bodies. So far, 31 persons are missing, Meitei youths are missing, and altogether about 41 persons are missing. So we can say we have peace when we can move freely, and we will not have any fear that we will be kidnapped and killed, and that our bodies will not be found. That is the situation here. And coming to the core issue of which you have raised, I think, as Tamu has explained, the initiative has to come from Manipur now. We have seen that the initiative from the center, it is not very concrete, and it is not very clear also. For example, security measures. Security measures, we have been repeatedly saying that we have a security advisor here, and he says that he's in charge of unified command. And sometimes the Unified Command, in particular clause, it is written that the Chief Minister can also convene a meeting, but it is not very clear who exactly is in charge in Manipur, who is calling the shots, and who is taking the decisions. We have a government which is elected by the people, but it is not calling the shots. So we have a constitutional crisis. We do not know who is in charge and who is taking the shot. So people of Manipur want a very clear-cut decision from the central government, from the state government, to resolve the crisis. And if you see the word chronology has become very important nowadays. If you see the chronology of attacks, we can see that the particular community which are attacking on the Meiteis, they are not interested in having fully interested, or they do not want to have peace, because they have an aim. If there is peace, they will not achieve their goal of separate administration. So they are not interested in having peace nowadays. So their goal is to keep the fuel burning. Right. The fuel burning is to keep attacking the people, that's the Meiteis. So what we appeal is to resolve the crisis, we need certain approach. One is the military approach. The government said about 60,000 troops came. We are not sure. We haven't seen it. We have not seen them in action. We already have two brigades. I don't know the exact term. One is in the Labakong, the Red Hill Division. Tamu will be knowing better. And the one is the IGR South. Two major generals are sitting in Manipur, and about 60,000 troops are coming. And even about one, and we have more than, I don't know the exact number, we have huge numbers of Manipur Rifles, Indian Reserve Battalion, Manipur Police. What we are saying is that the state machineries are not properly utilized to resolve the crisis. Right. And so we hope that the government, number one, should have the willpower, and it forms any committee, as Tamo rightly said, it should be from the community itself. Because we cannot pinpoint to some individual, we cannot pick and choose. It has to come from within. And lastly, most important is we should now open diplomatic channels. We can have talks through various channels, informal talks, the formal talks, whatever it is, and we can send out feelers also. And but this is the chronology has shown us that some people are not interested in talks. So I think we can take some military action upon those persons who are not interested in talks. Otherwise, we shall be seeing this chain of violence for a very, very long time.
You have brought up very interesting, good points, Satyajeet, and also very important points, in fact. And I think in the future, if there comes a peace committee, I think they really should benefit with the points that you have also put forward. And I would like to take each one by one in our next round of discussions. But for now, I'd like to mention that as you mentioned, that the cookies, or maybe the cookie militants, they will not stop attacking. They will not stop attacking until they realize this aim of their separate administration, even though it is a very contesting issue in the state of Manipur. And you also mentioned military approach, which I think our retired Colonel Sharat can also highlight regarding this. But again, Sharat, I'd like to come to you with this question as well. If you could please share your thoughts on this, because the last time the peace talk was completely a failure, and also as our previous panelists have put forward, that it is because of it came down from the center and it didn't work. So maybe this time, if it comes from the Manipur state, then probably it would work. But do you think that just a peace talk is enough without disarming those people who have guns in their hands? Because without a ceasefire, without disarming those people who have these guns, these attacks, they won't stop it. So, what are your thoughts on that, Babung Sharat?
Amrita, I must express my views as per the international norm.
Okay.
First, we must have a ceasefire. After that, we have a suspension operation. Then after the peace talk comes on the third stage.
Okay.
So, as I said number of times, Manipur is a land of surprises, land of corruption. So how this suspension operation SOP have been implemented on 1st August 2005 and again 22nd August 2008 between Government of India, Government of Manipur and Kuki militants without the knowledge of the people, common people. when on 3rd May 2023, when the Kuki militants fired to the periphery of the state, it was total surprise. And government signed the agreement, that is agreement without the knowledge of the people. And that meant the army, paramilitary force, state police, they didn't retaliate when the Kuki militants and the Ashanapur fired. And not a word from the state government. And all of a sudden, after 1 month or so, they want to have a peace committee. Peace committees never met like that. And it was member of, the member was, I think, about 51.
Yes.
And very, more than 50% of members, they have no knowledge how they are in the committee or so. On the very next day, so many people have resigned. Just for example, Makhomani Nongshaba and Dr. Ratan Thiam. They resigned on the very next day. It was shameful on the government side. How can you have a committee without the knowledge? How can be a member of the committee without the knowledge of the individual? It has to be a failure. It is a failing government, has to carry out the failing work also. So, I must say that it was a sort of, as a student, I learned geometry. It was the axiom of the geometry. It has to fall automatically. And to bring peace to the state, nobody is seriously concerned. People are really busy, their own works. At present, even the Home Minister was for 3 days. He promised to come back after 15 days or so. He never came back. He was busy in campaigning of the next election. And even, we all know that Prime Minister of India, he's never uttered a word, never visited this place. And he visited even a neighboring state. So, actually, to bring peace, we have to bring by the people, not by the central government or state government. And I don't want to say much because the sufferer since the time immemorial, since the king and then so many ministers and all this, men suffer the common men. Common men are suffering, say since King Khagem was after that. So 287 years, people have, nearly 300 years, people are suffering. And nobody is really concerned, everybody is concerned of their own chairs and the thrones like this. And we must have a think tank and try to make a solution for the present problem. And it is not an easy task now. It has gone in depth, and we must, the common people we must have a sort of aggressive mood or press the government to end this issue. The skirmish is getting too long, and we must have a say and end these skirmishes. This much I want to convey.
Yes, so Sharat has strongly expressed his condemnations against the central leadership and the way of handling regarding the Manipur crisis for this past year at the sheer neglect at their handling of this Manipur issue. And by focusing on the elections, it shows how neglectful the central leadership has been with regards to Manipur. And also, Sharat has also put forward very important steps that needs to be done before a peace talk should come. That is, first, a ceasefire between the two warring groups and the abrogation of SU, and then the peace talk will come, and that way the peace process can work if at all the central leadership or the state leadership wants to go that route. So on that note, I'd like to come back to Oja Deben again, that as there are many contesting differences regarding any sort of peace talks. What if there is a general amnesty or a general pardon with the two groups, with the two warring communities? Do you think that could be a clean slate to start a neutral talk, maybe a clean slate to begin something, like to set foot on something, because one or the other side would probably not agree with something the other is saying. So what about a general pardon or a general amnesty on both sides? Do you think that would be possible, Oja Deben?
Certainly, I would certainly agree that a general amnesty both sides deserves. But then this question also attracts more serious reflection on why after May 3 last year, a few days after when a government announced by decision, when the security advisor was appointed, an order of shoot and sight, nobody has asked what has happened to that. Why it is not being implemented? Was that shoot and sight order not to stop the violence? Has any bullet been fired till today with an intention to stop the violence? So the first step to, as Oja has also said, the first step to any peace process is stop the violence first. And either of the side are not going to do it because they are engaged in a war. And what kind of war? Do or die. That's a situation in which two communities are engaged. And there is no compromise on that. There is no going back on that. All right. But then what also we need to understand from people's point of view is that why are we engaged in a war at all? What is the goal? What the community actually want at the end of the war? Quite invariably, the answer is peace. Right? We are making extreme sacrifices. They are also doing it. Why? Because at the end of the war, they want to see peace. And this is what both sides would say. And if the end of the war, or goal of the war is peace, why it is not possible for people to come together? Now, many people might say that today both communities are deeply divided and both are at cutthroat competition. At the site, they will kill each other, but we must also know that it is not the whole community 100% engaged in war or cutting one another, or killing one another. If you just, like in a given violent conflict, if you divide the whole population on both sides, A and B, into three categories, maybe one first category people is those who are in the battlefield with guns and weapons trying to kill one another 24/7. Sleeplessly, without food sometimes, making extreme sacrifices. This is what you see on both sides. But behind them, you also see another section of people who are supporting it. Okay. But now, we may also ask the question, because what we need today is at the people's consciousness level or people discourse to actually understand what's going on first. Right? If you know what's going on first, then perhaps we might be able to identify the right course of action also. What I'm trying to tell is that if you take any patient to a doctor, what would the doctor do is first diagnose the disease.
Right.
So we have to get engaged in a diagnosis with proper tools and instruments that is required. This is something that is not, I'm seeing some indications that it is happening, but it has not happened to the extent that it should happen by the turn of the year, by which I would have understood, okay, this is what is happening and this is why things are wrong and this is how we must put things all right. And these are the past types. So this kind of analysis has not happened. And I remember like two things are very helpful in this for us, for public consciousness. There is this Einstein once who said, you cannot solve a problem by the same level of knowledge that created the problem. Which means what? You have to come a level up to understand the problem. That's one statement that really helps anybody understand what's going on. Any problem that is happening in the society. Second thing is, there's a philosopher called G.K. Chesterton, a British philosopher, who said, it is not that people don't know the solution, but it is the problem, which means the same thing.
Right.
Without diagnosis, without actually understanding what's going on, what this problem is all about, how it started, what are the contributing factors, and what are the whole dynamics of the conflict that's going on, who is doing what, we suddenly come up with all kinds of solutions. For example, for everything that is happening, we often say, unity, you know. Right, unity seems like a solution, but how do you go about doing it? Have you actually understand whether unity is being prevented? Unity is being resisted. Unity is never being allowed to form among the people. Have you understand those factors? No.
Right.
But we think that unity is a solution, so we must unite. So that's the goal in the society today. So I think we need to diagnose the solution, our problem first. And if we diagnose the problem properly by using appropriate tools and technology, then the process itself leads you to the right solution also. This is what doctors does, you know, good doctors, and they cure the problem of health problem of a person, and they lead a happy life. Now we can also imagine the whole society as one body, one organism, and some of us are diagnosing the problem, which is a conflict which has become violent. It is like the whole society suffering from cancer. So how many doctors are there to diagnose this? No one single person can do it. We need many people from different disciplines. It has to be a multidisciplinary group to diagnose the conflict, violent conflict that is happening. So that is what is lacking at people's level, and we need to go into it. I'm not saying it is not happening. It has started happening at the end of the year, and we have to carry this forward. And this year, media has a great role to play. And this is what I think, I really thank you, ELITETV today, that you have also taken up the whole idea and the processes and, you know, like how do we make peace, you know, all that. And this is something some television, you know, channel has also picked up. I'm very encouraged by that. And if more and more media, you know, media houses, media agencies pick up this and create that environment that people are no more interested to how many got killed. Right? People are now interested that you have to create that environment. Media has to create. Media has a lot of impact. Media has been also contributing to the conflict. So this is something that we must know. This is what Professor Koizam Bimol also did nationwide studies during this whole country, and he came up with very stark finding that media did contribute in Manipur problem, which means what? Media helped in killing more and more people and allowing facilitating more and more women and children and elderly people suffering in the camps for longer. So now I think the media also should take a twist now, take a different turn to now actually look at the angle of peace for everything, all the discussions. How do we make peace? Oh, well, 1 year this has happened. So now the second thing that I'd like to mention is I said Sudan-side order, but not a single bullet fired with the same intention. So now you understand how the central government, this is not a central government, but put all together, because sometimes people call it as double engine, right? It's the same party ruling it. So government as us. When I say government, it is central, but the state also. So we need to understand how is the state or the government is looking at this conflict, right? So this we have to understand. And whose government is this? It is people's government, right? So they are not above us. Yeah, they are not above us. We should have all the means and the ways to influence the way the government is looking at the conflict and allowing things to happen this way so far. This has to be stopped by asking the government, like, look, you have to stop this violence. This voice has been coming out very strongly. I have seen it because I have traveled through the several states in my effort to mobilize a civil society network nationwide. Today we have something called Citizens Action for Manipur, and hosted by one NGO based in Hyderabad. So many people are coming into it, talking about what can be done. So, so this like stopping of the violence, and then the ceasefire takes place. Stop the violence, and then the whole question of this amnesty comes into it.
Okay.
Yes, they all deserve, they should, but step by step. But the question that I'm asking here is, what is the intention of the state? Why is it that they are not taking all these steps now, over a year? This question has to be asked. Why?
Right.
People talk so much about why Prime Minister is silent, right? Why figure out Prime Minister only? Talk about the whole government, the whole missionaries. What are they doing, right? I mean, there's no point pointing out one particular, person in the entire setup. So we have to ask raise question on the whole system itself, the whole government. And
yes,
so if government comes up with resolute decisions, okay, from today this is why people have to influence. This is where the elected representative of the state also have to fall in line with people's desire for peace. Right? Right. And so now the third thing that I like to end with this second round is this, that even when people say we want peace, like I was trying to say that you can see the people on both sides in three categories. The third categories are victims. All right. And then among them are the people who are never with this war. So don't look at the people en bloc, you know, A and B and what are up there to kill one another. No, it doesn't happen. So what I'm trying to say is that even when people are killing one another on everyday basis, there are also people at the same time to stop this violence on both sides. So it is time for us to connect with such people who doesn't want war. You remember when US waged war in Afghanistan and Kuwait, there was this anti-war movement across the globe. And they made a lot of difference. This is what must happen now, and we're certainly working on that. And media should play a great role in bringing more talk about it. Not only Meitei, but if you're able to network with other regional level television channels, bring people from both sides who has never been with the war, who wants peace, who doesn't want violence, who wants to protect their children, grow them as beautiful human beings to live in this society. Thank you for this.
Very beautiful point, Oja Deben. Interesting, very enlightening, in fact, because you have rightly pointed out that the government, both the state and the central even, who is equipped with the top-class intelligence, with the top-class bureaucrats, the secretaries, the IAS officers, the IPS officers, all equipped to inform to the government to take the right actions. And this one-year neglect seems very blatantly, what's the right word? Well, I cannot really find the right word for it right now, but really it's very hurtful to the people of Manipur. And yeah, despite all of such machineries, not taking such an action, in fact, it's a very loud decision. A silence is a decision. And that is how that we see. And yeah, I have a lot to take from what you have just said, and I'd like to get back to you again. And I'd like to move on to just Satyajeet again for this next round. That as Oja Deben has also said, that dialogues need to happen from people in both, not just both the communities, but also all of the communities that reside in Manipur, or even the neighboring states, in order to bring about this peace, this dialogue, these people who want to bring about a resolution to end this conflict. So that, because we have seen in today's paper, the economy that Manipur is suffering, that inflation rate is up at almost 10%, even more than that. So when there is no peace, economy cannot thrive, and the livelihoods of people are at a loss, are being lost every single day. So all of these factors account to this, the end goal of some of the groups, or maybe most of the people who want to bring this conflict to a very normalcy state, or that is why maybe that is the reason that we're having this discussion today, in order to bring about a step for peace. So on that note, I also have this doubt that even though there is dialogues, there is talks, sometimes dialogues fail, and we have seen in history, throughout history, during the Second World War even, and even in recent histories, dialogues fail because there is no particular guarantee of an environment that is conducive to bring about those peace talks into the reality. So would you like to comment on that, or just Satyajeet?
Yes, yes. I think we are in a very critical stage of conflict now. Even though many do not want to use the word conflict, they say this is an aggression on the Meiteis by a particular community or by a particular ethnic group, by a militant group, who are backed by a big mafia, drug, whatever they say. But I think to have a dialogue, for instance, during the I just remember during the Second World War, there was no dialogue. I mean, the Second World War ended after Hitler died, after there was these nuclear bombs were dropped in Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So sometimes there is no dialogue alone. So I think we are passing through that phase where we are afraid that there might be no dialogue in Manipur, because both the groups are in a very tense situation, and they are ready to kill anyone who is from the different community. So I think this is the perfect time to stop the violence. But as Tamo has pointed out, for instance, when we try to cure a disease, we do very best medical tests, as Tamo said, but we do not perform one medical test. We do lots of blood tests, X-rays, ultrasound, whatever it is. I think to stop the crisis, we have to find out from where the fuel is coming. For example, the cookies are attacking on us. And for 1 year, they have the capacity to provide arms, to provide ammunitions to those who are fighting in the front lines, or whatever terms they use. This is the time to stop the channels. We have the means, but the government is not using that. Then they need resources also. And it is very easy to track all the financial transactions nowadays, because we do it through e-transactions, and it's very easy to stop all those transactions. So we are not doing also, we are not stopping the resources also. And the most important aspect which we have been discussing is that there might be an external forces, there might be possibility of external forces being involved in this entire crisis, because there's a huge involvement, about 7,000 crore annual budget of poppy plantation from the Golden Triangle moving towards our region, because Manipur is very favorable to the kind of poppy plantation which is quite used all over the world. This might be used, you must have noticed, because by the time when the crisis started in Manipur, the drug traffic had diverted towards Nagaland and Mizoram, and almost on a daily basis people are caught over there. So I think there might be a poppy angle, there might be external aggression, whatever involved. So I think we should involve the government of India. Manipur government cannot do it. The external affairs has to be involved, as Tamo said. Everyone has to be involved. And Tamo has mentioned about the role of media. Little moving away from the issue is, there was a time when there were lots of investigative journalism was done. But nowadays, from 2000 onward, 2010, 11 onwards, there is a decline in the way media is functioning. And there is an annual survey of how the media works. So the survey is done in about 181 countries. And out of 181 countries, India is ranked at 161 position.
That is a very low position.
It is declining every year. And it means that the finances which were going to the media for to do investigative journalism, for journalists to work properly, it is declining. So I think we have cut off the resources to the media, and what the media is portraying today is only the news which are fed to them. Right. Media are nowadays almost depending only on the data that is provided to them. They are not able to do research on their own, because all the funds have been stopped. Earlier funds were coming from the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, everything was stopped. Then so many, it has been stopped. So media is not able to function properly, independently in India nowadays. And in the Manipur crisis also, we have noticed that those who have been coming here, all the journalists, they have come with a motive, as they acted as judges. They were not here to report the ground realities. They acted as judges, as though they know the entire crisis. We have been living here for the last, we are all middle-aged people, we have been living 40, 50, 60, 70 years. We even do not understand the complex situation of 34, 35 communities. We do not know the situation, we do not know the involvement of Myanmar, we do not know the involvement of China. It is very complex. But those journalists who come for just one day, or for just 2 days, they write as though they know everything. And the basic problem of the entire crisis is, in other states, when there is a crisis, they never say if there, for instance, is a Hindu-Muslim conflict. Right. They would never say that a Hindu has died, a Muslim has died. But they have crossed that limit in the Manipur crisis. Whenever there is a crisis, they will always use the word Maitai, Kuki very easily. So I think it has instigated people, and it has they have put fuel on the burning fire. They said ghee on the burning fire. So it aggravated the situation, and it deepened the conflict also. And what we suggested was, they should come here. In the previous question you have asked about their involvement, about third party involvement. For example, three of us are fighting. There has to be somebody who has come as judge. This is not a fight between two countries. This is not a fight between two independent nations. This is a fight in a state within a nation. And India is a big nation. It is now claiming to be within the fifth biggest economy. It has huge army. It has huge resources. But I think it has no will to resolve the crisis. And in this juncture, during this 1 year, for example, I will just keep on the will. For example, in Taiwan, last month there was a national calamity. The Prime Minister, he paid condolences to those who died. And in Manipur also, yesterday there was a national calamity. One person died at Kakching, and thousands of people have been rendered homeless. There was no condolence from any Indian leader, whether from a ruling party or whatsoever. So this is the dilemma which we are living. The central government, those people who are sitting in the nerve center of India, that is Delhi, they are not ready to recognize that there is a problem in Manipur. They are not ready to accept that there is a problem in Manipur. They take the entire crisis as though it is happening in a particular corner and it should be resolved within themselves. They are least concerned about the issue, I think, and this is a time when that we should realize that we now, the onus of resolving this crisis now depends on us, on the senior citizens, on the youths, on the women for copy of the state. So the onus of resolving this crisis lies on us, and we should do our best so that our children, they can go to school, they can go for medical college, to do engineering college, whatever they want to do. I think they should do it well.
Right, just Satyajeet, you mentioned a very good point regarding this role of media and also how the national media comes to Manipur to not to report but to act as judges, and they just stay here for 1-2 days and they report in various segments, but also the way they report is without the full understanding of the current situation that we are living in, that we have been living in for many years. And do you think that the central leadership also carries the same mentality? Do you think the lack of understanding, the lack of depth of understanding of this crisis with respect to the ethnic, socio-ethnic cultures of Manipur, do you think this lack of understanding is what is preventing them from acting? Because the last time our Home Minister visited here, he stayed here for about 3 days, and he said he will come back within, after 15 days, which is now, it has now become a joke among the people of Manipur, because it has evidently said that he cannot solve the issue of Manipur within 15 days. And that is the only reason that he has not returned, and only he has returned for election campaigning, and also he did not mention any words regarding any resolution. Do you think the mainland media also carries, and also the central leadership, they carry the same thoughts, the point of view they have towards Manipur or the Northeast in general?
I think those who are in power in now, I think they are more concerned about the numbers. The number game is very important. We have just 2 MPs, and Tamu has been constantly contesting this time, and we have just 2 MPs. Nagaland has just 1. So Northeast has just 25 MPs, whereas UP 80, Bihar 40, Rajasthan 25. They have huge numbers. So even if the ruling party gets both the seats, it doesn't make any sense. So our MPs and our saying that we oppose it, it has no impact on the national politics. This is number one issue which we have a problem. The other issue is they see our problem as if it is not their problem. It is happening in a particular corner of the globe, and they are least concerned about the issue. Because we can take it from the examples when the Manipur crisis started. The next day there was a train accident, and there was in Gujarat there was a cyclone.
We're very sorry about that. We seem to have encountered a very small technical problem, but we're back again and we will continue with this very exciting and very enlightening discussion that we are having on this discussion with our very esteemed guests. So as Satyajeet was saying regarding the role of media and also how the treatment of the central leadership and also the national media of this, but I would like to let you finish, but since we have encountered a small issue with that just before, and I'd like to move on from you to Sharat, and I'd like to hear from Sharat on regarding this very question that I'd like to ask from you, Sharat, that we have been discussing many about various angles regarding this peace resolution, but Sharat, if at all, at the end of this conflict, at the end of this aggression or whatever the name is, if at all both these warring communities, the Meiteis and also the Kuki-Zojin community, agree to come to the tables for talks, there will be a certain moment where the Meiteis will also lay down the points for agreeing, and also for the other community, that is the Kuki community, they will also lay down their own points, and then the way that the talks will go, it will be judged based on that. Do you think that the Kuki community will be ready to surrender this idea of separate administration during that peace talk? What do you think, Sharat?
Firstly, before coming to the negotiation table, the causes of these skirmishes are manifold and multiple. And critical analysis of these causes have not been carried out and not have been studied by the think tank or any other intellectual persons. And it is rather, I feel, irony and feel sorry to say that we have a think tank of our society under meticulous and immature persons. Just for example, the state cabinet is one of the examples of the men of straw and men of form of gun culture, and they don't know how the people are living still. And we don't have any crystal clear, transparent, political, economic, social or religion issues and no policies. Our society is just like a floating society. We are just floating in the air. It is like we are floating in the water. It is like that. And our state machineries and funds, whatever we get it from the central government, it is totally misused. It is unaccountable to the people. And even sharing of state revenues, just for example, for the plantation of poppy or any other plants, it is unaccounted and it goes to somebody's pocket. And I'm rather to feel sorry again to say that we got enough strength to sort out this problem, and this issue of these unfortunate skirmishes, it is sort of ready-made, or it is sort of for since long time it has been prepared and unnoticed by few people. And coming to the negotiation table, we can have a talk with the Kukis. In today's paper, Manipur News, today's paper only, Kukis are ready to come to the negotiable table and they want a peace now. They are saying that both the Meiteis and Kukis, they must settle amicably and to end this issue. And they are also suffering hell of a lot, and our people are also suffering. So now they have come to the realization that this issue of having misunderstanding and unwanted demands and whatever differences they have, it must be ironed out and come to the solution and live peacefully as before. And why the hell the government is not responding to the common people's requests? I mean, say whatever they have said something, why it is going to deaf ear? And what is the interest of the government of India and government Manipur to prolong this issue? What they are gaining for? And is the aim of the government is to look after the welfare of the people or community people, or to enjoy themselves? And they must have a very clear policy to look after the people. And whatever government, I don't want to say anything, that whatever government we have, and we have seen ourselves at the MP election, what they have done it. I don't know this from my mouth. It is all it is beyond words, to beyond expression, and whole world knows it. Even the New York Times, you know, they express very openly, and the whole national news had, newspaper, they have, they have published it. And a few days back only, when 2 CRPF have been killed, then only the national news say, I think, which is the India Today news, they have published it. When our boys who lost their life, 219, 220 boys, not a single word have been published for the last 1 year. This is what, I don't know what type of people we have in our ruling party. That is, I don't want to say much, and it can be end. And we such a strength of troops, and we have enough state force to end this, skirmishes. It is not a war. It is not a war. War is between two nations. It is wrongly said. It is a skirmishes. It is a border skirmish fighting, just like hide and seek fighting only.
Okay.
Just like we know when we are small, we play Pologvi Kamnaba. That is sort of that. This skirmish, this episode. It is not a war. We have no enemy. We have our enemy is corruption. Our enemies are corruption, and indisciplined people, and the selfish people. We must have a sacrificing leaders. Then only the problem will end. And I must say that we must have a strong regional power. Regional power, that means regional party. If we have a strong regional party, all these problems should have been never started. If we have a discipline and then uncorrupted and men of character, have a leaders as a leaders of this state, then this would have been never be a. The people should have very peace and harmony. This much I want to express.
Very strong emotive points from Oja Sharat, that we, as our panelists, also have previously put forward that since the central leadership has completely neglected the issue of Manipur plaguing since 1 year, we need a resolution process that is initiated only from the Manipur people. And also Oja Sharat has suggested a regional party that is more localized within the people, and also that is more self-reliant, so to speak, for the people of Manipur, because only then it looks like the solution that is taken by the people of Manipur can only benefit the people of Manipur, and that way more processes or even future such any conflict may be even neglected. Very interesting point, Sharat. So for the final segment, as we have almost come to the end of our episode today, I'd like to open this question to all of our three guests. So you may put your thoughts accordingly. But the thing is that if at all this peace talks comes to the table, and we know that peace dialogues, such talks, they don't happen in 1 day or 1 month. They extend a very long time. It may take years even for such peace talks to completely come full circle. So during that process, what if there is some rogue elements that try to derail such peace talks, by peace process, by even firing a single bullet could derail the whole process, by even doing some extortion in our highways could also affect the peace process if at all it starts. So what can be put to safeguard such peace talks so that such kind of unwanted things do not happen? So it is open to the floor. I'll like first start with Oja Deben, and then I'll come to Oja Satyajeet, and then Oja Sharat can comment on that.
Yeah, 3 points to share at the end.
Okay.
The first thing is, I think by this time, because you see, people of Manipur has experienced, like n number of conflicts. If you look back in the history from, 33 AD, like chronicles and all that, it's all series of wars and violence, conflict within and without. So by this time, I think it's high time for decision makers, leaders to understand that conflict, something called conflict, which any student of sociology will understand what does it mean. It is well defined. And also, how does it function in a society? And what is the purpose of, what does conflict actually do to a human, to the society? What is its purpose and all that. So I'm talking in that direction, with that definition, the sociological definition of conflict. Now, it's high time for people to understand that conflict has become a political tool. Okay, so I might differ from many opinion which says central government lack understanding of the people.
Okay.
Rather, it is they understand how conflict works. What is conflict? Any difference between any two individuals or parties or communities or groups or ethnic groups, whatever you call it, whatever label you can take, or two nations, right? So whenever there exists a conflict, how the power in place use that as a tool to advance their political interest is what is happening. Okay. This is something that we must take a note and work with the conflict very sensitively, not just simply get into it mad and then pick up a gun and kill the other or get killed. No? So this madness must be refrained, resisted and prevented by all responsible person. When I say responsible person, I am calling to parents in particular, because what after all parents like when they think about their children. Any parents, responsible parents would say that my children are protected, they are provided enough, and they live in a peaceful environment. If this is the desire, if this is what every parent looks at when they think about the children, so no parent should be encouraging anybody going into the war.
You're right.
Second thing is that, following what I have said, that conflict has become a very effective tool for the political, whoever is in political power.
Yeah, their political
or those who are doing politics, right?
Yeah.
If we understand this, then the second following point is that every responsible citizens, every responsible parents, if they want their children to live happily, peacefully, this is what every parent would like, right? No parents would throw their children into the fire,
right?
Right. So this like inner calling of every parents must be evoked now. People should be talking more about it. More parents should be talking about that and saying that, look, I want to leave my children in a peaceful environment, so we have to stop this violence. Now, we are not going to lose anything if we stop the violence, because the day, say, any community, A or B, stop the violence, they are saving life. Yeah? They're at least not killing the other. By doing that, there is no retaliation, so they are not getting killed. So it is not necessary that this cessation of the violence must come or must be imposed by some power from somewhere else. But it can also be an initiative from within the community.
Right.
It can be unilateral ceasefire call.
Right.
By laying down some strict condition. Look, we are calling unilateral ceasefire from today for that many days, and during these days, this is what we will do. This is what we will not do. You can always come up with a ground rule of the ceasefire period and say that if anybody breaches this ceasefire, within or without, when I say without, it means the adversarial group, then this is what we will do. Give a very strong warning. Yeah? Because I don't think both the parties have said we are weaker than you, but both the parties are saying that, look, we are stronger than you. That's why they are showcasing all kind of sophisticated weapon and all kinds of, like inhuman kind of a treatment So this has to end. This can be ended by responsible parents and citizens by unilaterally declaring a ceasefire with a very strong ground rule,
Right.
which must be protected, reinforced, and any breach of that, very strong action, resolute action. So we actually don't need the government to make peace, because peace is at the heart of everybody, every parents, right? So this is one thing, and like particularly for any ethnic communities in the northeastern region, one thing that I'd like to humbly request is they should never fall prey into a violent temptation, particularly ethnic kind.
Right. Yeah,
Because anytime they get into it.
Yeah, I will let you continue, Oja Deben, but we have just 5 more minutes.
All right, so last
then,
point.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we will
so
try
we
to
must
wrap it up.
never get, because there lies the whole survival. If you want to survive, then don't get indulged into the violence, because someone else is playing with you. You're talking about third party, right? Last point that I will say is that you're talking about peace processes, but what is critical to peace process? Any successful peace process is a United Nations Security Council resolution taken in the year 2000, which is called Security Council Resolution 1325, which essentialize, I'm talking about this word, essentialize the full participation of the women in peace process.
Okay.
Now I ask you, where do you see women participation in any peace processes in the Northeast or anywhere in India? There are 20 to 23 peace processes, between 2000 till over the last 2 decades. Where have you seen any women sitting on the table on the negotiation of peace talk, or whatever you call it? This is something which is failing any effort to peace process. That's how I would look at it. Thank you.
Right, very good point, because womenization, you said that we don't see much women taking part in the decision process, and in fact, women and mothers really need to be taken accounted for. So, yeah, Oja Satyajeet, your last comments regarding that point that I asked.
The basic problem in Manipur is the absence of good governance.
Okay.
We have never seen good governance, and after the May 3 incident, we have seen lots of crises, and what we are doing is only we are treating the symptoms. We are not properly dealing with the actual disease,
Right.
actual crisis. It has given out lots of problems, as you have mentioned about the market, the economy. Everyone is affected. People have been rendered homeless. 60,000 people are homeless now. More than 41 people are missing. More than about 220 people are dead. The people are crying. People have lost their family members. Everyone is suffering from this crisis. So I think the basic problem is there is no proper good governance. The coming of the Home Minister is not a problem here. We go for medical treatment. We go for education. We use the airport. We use the airline facility. But you must have noticed that the prices keep fluctuating. It increases a lot. But in Meghalaya, they have keep a tap on that it should not be more than 7,500. They control it. The government intervenes. And for the mighty people who are not able to move out, the government should come out with a policy. That is what we call good governance. And the other is we have allowed criminals to go scot-free. Because you must have noticed that we have seen people have been on war for a very long time, since ancient times, since we have histories of complete histories all about war. We have seen countries on the national highways, extortion, but how many people we have caught? That is the main issue. Even the drugs also, we are catching only the puppets. We are catching only those who are the messengers. We have not picked up the kingpins. So that is why we say that there is no proper good governance. The highways are not protected. People are not protected. We are not living in a welfare society. We want people to live in a good welfare democratic society where they get all the opportunities which other citizens are getting.
The very good point that we are still fighting with the symptoms and trying to stop the symptoms without identifying the root cause. So on that note, Oja Sharat, your final points.
Amrita, I must tell you, since 1949, the National Party, I won't mention that which whole party, they have uprooted our society. They have destroyed our ethics. They have totally polluted with corruptions in our society. There are some people, we don't know what type of life we are living. And total education system is destroyed. Dr. Nelson Mandela said, if you want to destroy a country, destroy education system. So we don't have any education system now. And another point is that good people, so-called intellectual of our society, they are very scared to open their mouth. They don't want to say anything, they'll put behind jail and all. They are so scared. And the Mother Teresa said, the violence in the world is because of silence of the good people. They must remember that. And our society is heaven for corruption. Men of no character is ruling the state. And we are not, common people, they are not courageous. I must say that. And we are very good in sports, but we are not disciplined society. The aim of Olympic motto, we don't remember. The aim of sports is to have a strict discipline. And they are very good sportsmen, but as far as discipline is concerned, they are zero discipline. So how can we progress in our life? We must have a strict discipline, character, men of honor, men of words, and good people must open their mouth and say the wrong things of the government. And we must revive the good education. This much I want to tell you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very, very beautiful points. We have been discussing this topic. Is it time to prepare for a peace dialogue? And our panelists have put forward very interesting and enlightening points that really need to be taken into consideration, if at all there is a peace talk that needs to come out, if from the government side or from the side of the people, or even our panelists have put forward that it can also be done, disarming and the ceasefire can also be done unilaterally, and that conflict, there is a lot of things that are happening in a conflict, and that we should not look just at the symptoms, but try to identify the root cause of it and try to solve it from there. And also our Oja Sharat has also put forth that our real enemy is corruption, and that really is the lasting message that really need to be said very loud and clear. And on that note, I'd like to end today's very engaging discussion, and I would like to thank our panelists, Oja Deben, Oja Satyajeet, and Oja Sharat, for being here and giving us your time and your thoughts. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank our viewers for tuning in tonight, and please do leave your comments and feedbacks with us. We will be back again next Monday with more exciting topics. Until then, have a good week.